But then we came back to around 20, no, it's more than, it's more than 30 years now when we have started just focusing on sharing stories through the beautiful tool of PowerPoint. But the thing is, stories are what drives people to listen to you, to care for
Mm.
you, to care for your product, to care for who you are, and to find the respect that you want in for your company, for the business, for the name, for the brand, and the service that you provide. So
That's
what
what
we
we
have
all want.
created, sorry.
That's what we all want.
Exactly. So what we have done is what is beneficial usage of stories when it comes to implement that in your customer success journey for either the customer or you being a manager or just working with customers. And it's called the ABCDO of storytelling. So the ABCDO of storytelling is a way where you can, because a story is, I'm going to go on a limb here, is without a doubt the best answers to the majority of questions. Majority, not all of them, but the majority of questions. So that means that in different situations, you can rely on using the ABCDO. And it's a way for you that A stands for answer. That means if somebody's giving you a question, you answer that with a story. What do you do for a living? What does your company do? Don't
Mm.
say, well, we're in this and this is the service that we provide. Go back, share a little story about the history of the company, just a brief one. You can find these tiny stories. And a story can be, I mean, it can be one sentence, it can be 5 sentences, it can be 15 minutes, it can be 2 minutes, it can be 60 seconds. It doesn't matter, but share a little bit of insight when somebody asks you a question and give them that story instead. So the company's history, the product's history, service, what kind of, what kind of help the service provides, whatever it can be, but just don't say it, share it with a story instead.
Hmm.
The second would be is using the B, and that is bouncing. When you have
Bounce.
somebody that is really reluctant on not giving up on a specific thing, you can always bounce off the focus with a story. For example, I had one of my sales reps back in the day. He had this client who called up and said, "Hey, we want to book a train with you guys, but we have to promise that you cure all of the stage fright from everybody who's participating in that session." And we said, "Hey, you know what? We can't promise that. No, but we want to hire you, but you have to promise." And the client was so focused on solving that situation, that issue with everybody should have no stage fright when they were done. And we can't. It's a long process in some cases. It's very individual. And then my sales rep, he just went like in on that Zoom call, and he just went like, "You know what? Fine, all right. As long as they don't put a microphone in the air, I think we have this covered." And,
What?
and, the, and the client, exactly, the client reacted just like you said. What do you mean with that? Automatically, my sales rep pull the focus on that it's like solving that issue with everybody with the stage fright into talking about a story where he was standing in front of hundreds of people and shoved this little lavalier microphone in his ear because he thought it was an earpiece and not a mic. So he shifted the focus. So he bounced off the focus from one end to another. So that is something that can be very beneficial when somebody's so reluctant on giving up. Just see if you can bounce it off, and that is when a story can really help you out with that. The C stands for counters. That is if somebody's arguing with you, and you can always counter with a story that can say, "But you know what? Do you have any previous experience with this? I'm so happy that you asked that question." So just a couple of months ago, I had this client that is in the similar situation as you, blah 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 blah, and you keep on talking a story. So you can counter with a story when somebody is giving you that. It's a little similar to
Like
questions,
social
but
proof?
it can be yeah, exactly, like a social
Oh.
proof. The D stands for duo. If you're a team, you can always use this to implement a story in your communication when you're either talking to a client if you have that opportunity, but it has to be something that you practiced before.
Mm.
And a duo can be, get this. Say, for instance, that you sit here, you have a client in front of you, and you're going to discuss something, and it might be not sensitive, but it can be a little bit of a critical component. When you are done, and you have planned this, when you're almost you're done with your presentation with a client, you go, "Okay, so by the way, this is going to be and then all of a sudden the counterpart, like the other person that is in your team, is going to interrupt you. It's like, "By the way, you should tell them about the situation we had. It can be relevant for them." And then you will go, "No, no, I don't think that's, I don't think, I don't think they want to know." Well, we can, okay, so Do you see what would happen then if I would go like this? It's a
So
little dispute that
confusing.
you have between you and that person,
Mhm.
but it is a situation you want to bring that you have planned, a story that you know will be relevant for that customer.
Oh, so it's
Like you
planned.
planned it without,
Ah.
yeah. So that's why I said you have to practice the duo. It is a little bit of a hard one, but you can see it sometimes with myself and David on when we're doing either a podcast or where we're doing a when we're doing a presentation or one of those reaction videos. You will see sometimes that we kind of, you know, you should share. Not, yeah, you should. Nah, yeah, you should. Ah, okay. And then we tell it because what happens with you is they go, I want to figure out what is that a secret? I want to know
Yeah.
what the secret is. Yeah.
Curiosity.
Yes, curiosity. And that will not kill the cat in this case. It will just drive you to listen on more carefully. And then final one in when it comes to
Alex,
storytelling. Yeah.
let me pause here a second because then dual is something that you can apply when it comes to negotiation as well.
Yes. But when it comes again, in a case of negotiation, it has to be have been practiced several times. And here
Mm.
is the thing. It cannot sound scripted. So the duo is if you say that ABC is intermediate, you can do it not knowing too much about it because you know an answer can be a story, a bouncer can be a story, and a counter can be a story. But the duo part, you have to have the next level. So you have to have the full understanding of what should the story be, what is the outcome, what is the structure of the story. So there's a couple of more phases than just going, hey, let's do the duo.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
have to
Okay, it's
plan it a
time
little
to
bit more.
act.
Yeah.
Mm.
The
And oh,
the the final one is the O, and that is object. It can be on you, but that can lead to a story. For instance, if you and I would sit here and I would be talking about this, like presenter mastery, what is that? See, I'm using an object. So if your curiosity would be enough, you would say, Alex, can you describe what does PMEST 2022 stand for? So my cap would then be the my introduction of, oh, funny that you asked. So what is this is where we when we started our online program, blah 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 blah. So you can keep
mm.
on talking about that. So an object can be a very useful thing to have either as you're setting in the digital era, or you have something on you that can spark a conversation and a
How to
story.
start small talks too.
Yes. So if
Ah.
you're in a network situation, which I know you will be at several times in your life, it can be at a party, it can be in a formal setting, have things on you that can spark that little communication, that little small talk. And that little small talk can lead to something more. Make sure that it is a story that comes out of it.
Mhm.
Don't make the small talk about you. Make the small talk about the story that you want to share. Rather, if it's your service that you want to share with them, or a product that you have, or just what you do as a living, make it into a story instead of telling them who you are.
Because then it's going to make the situation even more awkward if you don't have this story.
Yes, exactly. People are driven by stories. Share yours, and you will be more interesting in every situation if you know how to create the story. And that's where that I highly recommend you to go in and listen on David's TED Talk on the magical science of storytelling.
Which will also be in the
Yes,
description of today's
which
episode.
will also be in the
Yeah.
description below. Yep, that is
Exactly.
yeah,
So A, answer; B, bouncing; C, counter; D, dual; and O, object. And if you want to
exactly.
go deeper into this, just go into the description and you will see
Yeah.
all the content there. But then from these ones, one, two, three, four, five, which are the ones that we can use for data? Should we use all of
A
them or?
I would say A and C. So both A you can use for data and C you can use for data. This is where the biggest misconception people have is that when we talk data, we talk logical, we talk information. But
Mhm.
everything that we know from the scientific proof is that no decisions has ever been made based on logic. They're based out of emotions that we have
Emotion.
towards it and instincts that we have in our nature. So these two things, the logic, it's just maybe it's giving us that little you come over the hump of the decision, but the decision itself is based normally and driven, not based but driven by emotions and not logic but instincts. Meaning if you can connect emotions to your data, i.e. using storytelling
Mhm.
by either a question or you're using a counter, then that data will start to dance and sing. Automatically, you will have people who will start going, I like this chart. It makes sense. So instead of going, this is the result, this is the churn, this is the anti churn last month, this is what we're doing for the next, this is the, go and saying, all right, guys, I have some pretty big numbers running this today in my presentation. Some things will be surprising, some things will be predictable, but I want us to take us back to when Q1 started. Q1, you see the numbers right here. It wasn't a very good one, but we did some implementations, we did some changes. We even had, oh, there she is. Yeah, so Sarah, she came into the company and she made a huge difference, didn't you? Yeah, you did. Can you tell us what you did? You don't have to. I will tell it for you. And then I know you don't have to go that way. It was just a suggestion. But you keep telling a story. So you go from A to B to C with the little drive of using storytelling. Like I said, a story can be one sentence, it can be 5 sentences, it can be 5 minutes and 10 minutes. It doesn't really matter. But start using, again, what I said before, the anticipation of reward. The anticipation of reward. Of course, there are other substances, signal substances, and hormones that you can implement. To answer, it was a long answer to a short question. But make data sing, share stories, use animations to enhance. If you're using a PowerPoint as an example, use animations in the right way, combine with the story, use examples, raise of hands. How many of you thought it was going to go this well this last quarter? Hands up.
That was today's CSM Quick Lesson. For the full conversation and more practical tips, just go and check out today's episode description where you will have the link to the full conversation. Remember to hit follow, also follow us in their social media, and you can also go and check out our new website. Remember, keep learning, keep growing, and let's keep improving the world of customer success. Until next time.